going to be temptations and distractions along the way that are going to possibly harm you. Now, every one of these things is also a learning opportunity or a growing opportunity. Take your hood down. I'll give you a for instance. Let's say that, let's talk about like a really wild temptation that is outlandish, and we all know we shouldn't do, and hopefully we should all walk away from it. Let's say that one of the temptations that you had that was getting your mind off of where it should be was something like going out and doing a bunch of drinking.
I think drinking is bad.
Drinking is bad. Now, but let's just say that you go out and you do this. Well, then I think it's pretty obvious that a bunch of bad things can follow. Everything from a hangover to when you get caught to a whole bunch of long list of things that could be bad. And kids are pretty obvious about recognizing that. Ethan just looked up and said, oh, I think drinking's pretty bad. Ethan understands, and I think all of you understand that. But what about something like coming into a classroom, not feeling like doing work, and just allowing yourself to be unfocused in the classroom and not being the best student you can be? Isn't that also a bad thing? And I think sometimes we don't recognize it for what it is, that it can be a really bad thing. So I think, I don't know if it's because our last vacation was over a month ago. I don't know if it's because the weather's turning. I don't know if it's because last weekend we moved the clocks ahead. I don't know what the exact particular reason is, but I know that classes as a whole have not been sharp lately. It's like getting you to do work is painful. And I've had to bear more of the burden than I should. Normally, you should really want to get your own focus and your own determination in class, because at the end of the day, whose life are we talking about? Your lives. And the thing is, it's your future, it's your life, and one of the really important things you're supposed to learn from school. Everybody in the world thinks, oh, I'm supposed to learn how to read, write, do arithmetic, and all this other stuff in school. That's kind of true. It is true. But it's not the main point. The main point is to learn responsibility. The main point is to learn how to go about your business, how to do your job. Because if you do that, all of the reading and writing and arithmetic and science and social studies and everything under the sun comes along with it. Because you're responsible. But if you learn a subject because you like it, but you never learn responsibility, eventually you're going to fall flat on your face in the real world. So hopefully you guys are able to just will yourself forward a little bit, force yourself. I got to tell you, boy, I haven't wanted to come to work this week. Every morning when that alarm goes off, I'm like, oh, God, I don't want to go. But once I get in, I'm ready to work. I'm ready to do my job. Derek, is there a problem? Then focus on this and not whatever it was we're going on with Christian. Now, you guys just took a quiz, and the quiz was better than yesterday, for sure. But you're going to take the third in the series of quizzes on Monday. And I want to make sure that you're able to do these questions correctly when you take the test or the quiz on Monday. So the only problem, I use the words twice, on Monday. A lot of times kids don't have the same level of dedication Saturday and Sunday and Friday night that they do Monday to Thursday. I hope you take the time to really review the kind of things that you're doing wrong. And then I think you'll do really well on Monday's quiz. Okay, so we take a look at number 1. It says, if the measure of angle 3 is 80, find the measure of angle 7. So, here we go. I moved the wire fell out before, so now I gotta go through all of this stuff
I
again.
remember when those was on the other smart
I haven't
bars.
seen that in years.
Right? soon as the wire came out, I knew I was gonna have to do some of this stuff. Okay, so. First question looked like this. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the measure angle 3 is 80 degrees. And it asks you to find the measure of angle 7. Now let's talk about two ways to get, Sam, the measure of angle 7. The first way is to analyze the diagram and look up and say, look, are we dealing with acute angles or obtuse angles? Angle 3, the one that's 80 degrees in it, is that an acute angle or an obtuse angle? Now, let's take a look at angle 7, which is what they want. Is angle 7 acute or obtuse? Acute. So, if I have two acute angles in this diagram, what do you know about them? They're equal. Very good. So, therefore, the answer is 80 degrees. Now, another way to do it is to do drag and drop. I could highlight this entire area like I would on my computer. I could drag this, droop, 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 drop it right there. Wouldn't this 80, because it's lower left here, be lower left here, and wouldn't the 80 land right on top of the 7? Drag and drop, land on top. Wherever it lands tells you what the value would be. So 80 degrees is the answer to the first one. Now, the next diagram changes it a little bit. It says if the measure of angle 2 is 65. So let's call this 65. And it wants the measure of angle 7. Now, is this acute or obtuse? Acute. Is 7 acute or obtuse? Acute. Therefore, if this is 65, 7 has to be 65. Or, drag and drop, wouldn't the 65 land on top of this? And then aren't those two vertical? So therefore, it would also be 65. Okay? Oh, hold it. Then it says, it doesn't, I didn't have my glasses on. It says the measure of angle 8. So if this is 65, what's the measure of angle 8? What do you know about these two angles put together? Come on, what do you know about those two angles, guys? Head in the game. They add up to 180. Very good. So 180 minus 65 is 115. So I had to do the drag and drop and then look next to it. Or I could have said it's an obtuse angle. So that means they add up to 180. Now, yesterday's lesson. If you missed this, God bless. If you missed this in yesterday's quiz, it was my fault. Because I had said to you, I didn't teach this to you, but yesterday we did the lesson on this. And now you should be good at it. 93, 27. What do the three angles of a triangle add up to? 180 degrees. So if I do 93 plus 27, that's 120. So now I gotta do 180 minus 120, and I get 60. So the answer to number 3 is 60 degrees. Number 4, two angles are complementary. One measures 57 degrees. What's the measure of the other? What does complementary mean, everybody? Complementary, what does it mean?
They add up to,
Well, you see the hesitation in the room? Right? Nobody's jumping out with the answers, and even you guys who are trying to answer it.
Oh, you add.
C comes before S, 90 comes before 180. Complementary adds up to 90, supplementary adds up to 180 degrees. Okay? So, if it tells me that one of the angles is 57 and they're complementary, I gotta do 90 minus 57, which is 33. So the answer to number 4 is 33 degrees. And then, in the diagram below, find the value of n. This is 129, and this is n. What do you know about those two angles? They're what?
180.
They add up to 180. Very good. They are supplementary. So 180 minus 129 leaves 51. And that's the last measure, or the measure of the angle of the last question. Okay? Any questions? Preguntas? Spencer, head in the game, bud. All right, so the third series in the quiz in the series is going to be tomorrow. Now let's go to a little lesson that we learned about yesterday. It wants to find x and y. What do these three angles have to add up to? I see people not even looking here. Steven, why don't we put that down? What are you working on right now, Steven? Right, come on, what is it? Good, put your science away. I'm not gonna take it, I'm not gonna rip it up, but you know that it is not science time, you know what I mean? Okay. Now, those three angles add up to 180, so I'm gonna do 58 plus 73 and see how much I have so far. 58 and 73 is 121 degrees, no, 131 degrees, sorry. And then I gotta do 180 minus 131 for 59, and that is 59 degrees. So the measure of x is 59. Who thinks they know the measure of y? Anybody think they know the measure of angle y? Well, go ahead. Is she?
73.
73 is right. Look, here's my z. Alternate interior angles. This is 73, so y is 73. They become vertical. The other way to look at it is if I did drag and drop, the 73 would land on top. Okay. Any questions on those? Now we're going to talk about some terms, and we're going to shift our focus radically. Up until now, everything we've been doing is geometry. And we're going to continue to review and work on geometry on Monday, on Tuesday, and Wednesday will be a pre-test, Thursday will be a test. But, you know what, we have a state test coming up. You know, I probably said this to you 10 times this year, but just for my, how many people are taking the state test? You are going to take it. 1, 2, 3. Anybody not sure? 4. Anybody not sure? We have about 4 hands for not sure. Question?
Why is x is supposed to be 49?
Yeah.
Oh, it was a different number in the diagram?
No,
No, it's the same number.
It's the same numbers, you just
Just
did 10 more. Because if you added them
Yeah,
all
it's
up, it
190.
would have been 190.
Oh, okay, so it should have been 49. Okay, so then adjust the answer by that. Now, here's the thing. When this test comes, we're going to have the test in April. It's like around April 12th or 15th or 13th or something like that. And we have to be prepared for it, and we need to review for it. So, we are now starting the last little bit of material that needs to be covered for that test, and then we're going to go into big-time review. Now, there's 2 topics left to cover for the test. The first one is like 3-dimensional geometry, like cubes and cylinders and things like that. We'll talk about that in a couple of days. And the last thing is data. And data is bivariate data we're going to talk about today and also somewhat on Monday. And then we're going to talk about scatter plots on Monday, Tuesday. And then we will take the test and then we'll come back to a little mini vacation. And then we'll do geometric shapes for about 3 days. And then after that, we'll do all review for your final exam. And that's pretty much what we'll do from now until we take that final exam, and then, or I should say, until we take the state test. And then after the state test, the next thing that we do after that is we work on getting ready for the final exam, and maybe a couple of new topics that are reviewed from 7th grade. Okay, so 2 big words here today that we need to start off with, and then a third term. The first term is qualitative, the second term is quantitative, and the third term is bias. And I want to be able to understand all of these terms. Now, the first thing is that these terms, qualitative and quantitative, they kind of look alike. Here's qualitative, here's quantitative. What's the difference between the 2 of them? What's the difference in those words? I mean, they really do look similar. Stephen?
One has an L after quad and the other has a...
That's right. The difference is a single letter. Qual, or 2 letters, quant. Now, quantitative is short for quantity. Now, what is a quantity? What does that word mean?
Like how much of something.
Yeah, it's an amount. It's how much. Qualitative is a quality about things. Now, the difference between quantitative and qualitative. Qualitative asks opinion, and it usually doesn't involve numbers. Now, in one case, it can involve numbers. Let me go through it. First off, here's a great qualitative question. What is your favorite kind of music? For example, you might say rap. You might say
Rap, what?
country. You might say heavy metal.
Ew.
You might say classical.
No.
There you go. Those are all qualitative kind of questions. Now, quantitative is about numbers. For instance, if I say to you, what is your average in math? That is a quantitative data kind of question. What if I said, how tall are you? How much do you weigh? Those are all quantitative. What is your eye color? That is qualitative. Because I can't say my eye color is 5. Okay? Now,
I mean, you could.
but it's nonsensical. Now, there's one case where a question looks like it's going to be quantitative, but it's actually qualitative. What is your favorite number?
16.
Well,
Red.
some people might say, well, it's quantitative. It has to do with numbers. But it doesn't. It's about what your favorite number is. It has to do with favorites. It's just that the thing you're picking is a number. Okay? Now, within a sample of data, there can be a thing called bias. What is bias? What's a bias crime?
Bad
What's that?
crime. Bad.
Yeah, what's a bias crime?
Is a factor, slants.
What's that?
I don't know. It's a factor.
What's its a factor? But I don't think the bias crime is written in here, okay?
What's a bias crime?
That's what I'm asking. Go ahead.
It's like you're in favor of something.
No, that's not what bias means at all.
You're blowing my mind right now,
Like
Mr. Ray.
Bias is prejudice, okay? A few years ago, we had something very, very horrible happen in the Patchogue Medford community. There was, are you related to him, or Marcelo Lucero, do you know who he is? Okay, Marcelo Lucero was murdered by a bunch of white kids. And they specifically said that they went out looking for a Latin person to kill. Or, I don't know if they meant to kill him or to cause trouble with him, but they wound up killing him. So they specifically targeted a type of person based on skin color. That is bias. If you say that, here's another form of bias, where bias is not necessarily a bad thing. If you're the school basketball coach, what kind of kids are you looking for?
Bad athletes.
Tall. Tall. Of course you want tall athletes, but not only do you want athletes, but you want tall kids, because tall kids tend to play basketball. Not too many Spud Webbs in the NBA, okay? If I'm a wrestling coach, what kind of kids am I looking for? Strong kids. Strong, quick. So there's a bias built in a lot of different ways, but some biases are really bad. Like, you don't want to persecute someone because of their skin color. You don't want to persecute someone, that's bias, because of their religion. Those are all things where bias comes into play. Bias is basically like a predisposition. Now in math, we don't often talk about like bias because one person might be black and another person might be white, and another person might be Latin and another person might be Oriental. We really don't get into that kind of bias. But here's a kind of bias which also happens. For example, does anybody here like rap? Rap, here we go. Okay, now, Caitlin, music, rap. Now, Caitlin likes rap. Caitlin, who is your favorite musician of all time? Well, I'm gonna give her 4 choices. Quiet. 4 choices. Mozart, Beethoven, Bach, Lil Wayne.
Oh, wait. Easy.
Which one are you gonna choose?
I mean, I actually like Beethoven.
Little wing.
Well, doesn't the question, because you like, and I know you like rap, doesn't it kind of slant the question a little? Right. And that's an example of bias. Here's another one. Hey, stop. Here's another example of bias. Another example of bias would be, let's say we go to, say we go to a high school football game. And I walk into the high school football game and I decide that I'm going to survey, which means ask the opinions of people, what is your favorite sport? What do you think I'm going to get? Croquet?
Golf.
Do you think I'm going to get soccer?
Yeah.
I went to football games and.
No, I'm going to get people who say football. But if I go into a soccer stadium and I say, what's your favorite sport? Or better yet, who's the best athlete in the world?
Rugby.
They're gonna say Messi. That's right. You think they're gonna say
Go Messi.
Barry Bonds or Babe Ruth or Kevin Durant? No. Now, you don't know who Babe Ruth is?
Oh, yeah.
Chief Keef.
Okay,
You said soccer player.
Chef Cass.
Babe Ruth is a soccer player. Oh my lord.
You said.
Excuse me. You are being about as bad as you can be. Derek, knock it off. Pay attention. Stephen, stop. Classify as quantitative or qualitative. Political affiliation, that means Democrat or Republican, liberal or conservative.
Quantitative.
Qualitative, because it's not a numerical thing.
Yeah, and I meant
Can't
to
measure it.
say it.
What about the opinions of students on a new music album? Qualitative. SAT scores.
Hit the qual.
Quantitative. Nationality.
Hit the qualitative.
Qualitative. Cholesterol level. That's a number. Quantitative. Class membership, freshman, sophomore, etc. I would say quantitative because that's like 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade. Height. Quantitative. Number of times the word alligator is used in an essay. Quantitative is the number of times. Now, the next thing we want to do is talk about. Oh, we're good. All right, we talked about bias, so we're good to go. Hasta la vista, vaya con Dios.